Hey YouTube, it's Bobi, aka Paginator, and I am coming to you with my 2019 Reading Awards. I was going back and forth in my mind about how to do like a year-end like best books kind of thing, and I thought, well, I'll either do the top 19 books I read in 2019 or some kind of awards. And I was watching G's channel, her BookRoast channel, and she did book awards, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna work smarter, not harder. I'm gonna borrow her categories and do awards. So thank you to G for coming up with these categories, and yeah, here we go. So the first award is for the most emotional read. There were a couple that I was thinking about for this, but I ended up picking The Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston. It was, oh, there were so many feels in this book, and just, the back of the book says, the prince and the pauper gets a geekarella style makeover in this fairy tale for those who believe in the magic of fandom. This takes place at a Comic-Con. We do have an LGBT relationship, two girls. We also have a lot of like fighting over fandoms and that kind of thing, because one of our characters has really strong opinions about her favorite fandom, and other people disagree, and yeah, so things happen. But I did pick it for most emotional. Not that it made me cry, but just it had so many feels, and I was just like, need to know what happens next. The next award was for most unique, and I had thought about hashtag murder trending, but I decided rather to go with this book, Girls of July by Alex Flynn. This I picked for most unique because it just felt kind of refreshing, and like, oh, I don't read a story like that every day. This is about four girls who are rooming together during the month of July, and they end up kind of diving into this mystery of someone that one of the girls' grandmother used to be in love with, and trying to find that person and see if they can reconnect them, as well as each going on their own journeys of self-discovery, spending a month during the summer together. And I know there are lots of girl power books out there and blah blah blah, but this one just seemed unique in the way that it was written. I really like Alex Flynn's writing, and it just was, like I said, it was a refreshing read for me, so that's why I chose it for most unique. The third award is most fandom worthy read, and that is where you read it and you want merch for it. That's how G explained the category, and I immediately thought of Winter Song by S.J. Jones. This is kind of a loose retelling of the movie Labyrinth, but loose. There is a Goblin King, and there's a girl, and yeah. Anyway, this made me want merch for it. I do have a Jareth and Sarah figure already in the little worm from Labyrinth, so I had that, but I was like really wishing that I had Winter Song specific merch, and it's dark. It's a dark fairy tale, so if that's not appealing to you, don't pick up this book, but I really enjoyed it. I should also mention that these aren't books that necessarily came out in 2019. They're just ones that I read in 2019. I read approximately 213 books last year, and that was way more than I thought I was going to, having started grad school and all that. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with what I read, but anyway, books I read in 2019. The fourth award is for the funniest read, and you're gonna go, that doesn't count when I show you the size of this book. It is What Would Jane Do? It's a collection of quotes and wisdom from Jane Austen, and I was literally laughing out loud as I was reading this. For example, I have not the pleasure of understanding you. And there are lots of other things that just made me laugh out loud. And there's some equally sad things as well, because Jane Austen she's just amazing. But I'll show you kind of, it is small words on the page, but as I said, it's the one that made me laugh out loud. There is another book that made me laugh out loud, which is Wrecking Ball by Jeff Kinney, which the most recent Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. And I don't have that book here with me because it's in my classroom. There are a couple of others that I'm going to be talking about that are also not here with me, and I sincerely apologize. I didn't want to go over to work to get books to make this video. Alright, award number 5 is the best book cover, and this book that I picked actually has 2 covers. It is The Beholder by Anna Bright. So we have this cover, which is the Bookish Box exclusive dust jacket, and then we have the cover, which is The Beholder again, but you can see the actual ship, The Beholder, here coming through the waves, and I don't know, there's something about this cover that's just made me almost gasp every time I've seen it. It's just, I don't know how it got to be that beautiful, and so I just really, really enjoy that it speaks to me in many of my languages. Number 6. This award goes to the best contemporary, and I could not narrow it down to one. I have 2 to share with you. So one of them is young adult and the other is not. So we'll start with the young adult one, which is With the Fire on High. This is by Elizabeth Acevedo, who also wrote The Poet X, and this book is fantastic. It's about a young teenage girl who is struggling to find her place, but she's like discovering this passion for cooking that she has, and she's able to join this class that focuses on culinary arts and is able to explore things, but she's also dealing with living with her grandmother and her child. Yes, she's a mom, and dealing with the biological father of her child and all the joy that comes with that situation, I'm sure. And it was just a really fantastic read. I tore through it in, I think it was 1 or 2 days. Just really, really enjoyed With the Fire on High. My other pick for contemporary is The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan. This is more of an adult book. Not that it's like adult, steamy stuff, but it's just written with adult characters. And it's about a girl named Nina who, she loves books. She hoards them. Can you see why I might identify with this person? And she's kind of faced with losing her job at the library, and just like it's kind of going nowhere, and she buys this book van thing and decides to move to Scotland of all places and drive this book van around and sell books to the people in this town in Scotland. And while she's in the process of doing this, she meets a very hunky guy who it's kind of a hate to love trope, but also kind of not. That more like you irritate and annoy me, but then I'm gonna fall in love with you kind of situation. But super, super cute book. I ended up buying the sequel to it and reading that and really liking it as well. The 7th category is Best Comic. Now, I know that G reads a lot of comics, so I understand why she picked this category. I did not read a lot of comics, so I guess I could have changed the category, but I do want to show you that I am a comic reader occasionally. I read a few comics this summer specifically, and I really enjoyed Who is Wonder Woman by Alan Heinberg, Terry Dodson, and Rachel Dodson. I don't know, I'll just kind of flip through some different pages and show you what we have going on here, but this is kind of, well, who is Wonder Woman? What's her deal? I love this outfit that she's wearing because it's kind of like, okay, I'm going in for some serious stuff here. I can't have my legs uncovered like in her outfit that's so well known. Her whole arms and legs are bare. Don't they get like cut up and scraped up? Weird rant, I know. I'm sorry. Moving on. Award number 8 is for the Best Fantasy. Now, the book I chose is Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. This is the sequel to Dance of Thieves. Hang on. Alright, so Dance of Thieves, this one is the first book. I got to meet Mary E. Pearson when this was coming out and get her autograph and in the book and everything, and she's lovely. And then this year I read Vow of Thieves, which is the sequel, and it was utterly fantastic, and I wish I could tell you about this book, but I don't want to spoil things for this book. Let's say this. Mary Pearson puts her 2 characters who absolutely hate each other together in such an almost like, I don't want to say a cruel trick, but kind of like throws them together in a situation that they can't get out of and have to deal with each other and come to terms of, okay, I can accept you for the person you are even though I'm supposed to hate you, and you can do the same for me kind of situation. So it's a very well done fantasy. I might almost even put it in the adventure category in my classroom just because there's so much adventure and travel and fights and blah blah blah, all this stuff. So if you're looking for a very good series, I would highly suggest these books right here. Also, her series, the Kiss of Deception series, is utterly fantastic. Now, for my last two awards, I do not have these books here, and I am so sorry, but I have to talk about these books. And I kind of went back and forth. There's one book, House of Salt and Sorrows, that I didn't end up actually picking for anything, but I absolutely adored this year, and like, I don't know. So there's a little plug for House of Salt and Sorrows. I think Aaron Craig is the author of that one. But for a number 9 best sci-fi, I am going to go with Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I recently read Starsight, which is the sequel, and it just reminded me how good Skyward was. I read Skyward this summer, and holy cow. Brandon Sanderson, he's a good writer, and he is excellent at crafting endings of stories where they wrap things up but then also leave you room to move forward. What can I say without spoiling? Okay, so in Skyward, we have a young girl, Spensa, who lives on this planet that's constantly under aerial attack from aliens above called the Krell. And the fighter pilots are like the heroes of everyone, and she wants to be a fighter pilot, but she's kind of shunned because her dad used to be a pilot, and they claim that he chickened out and abandoned his people in a fight. So she is kind of looked down on, but she's determined to get into flight school and fight her way into that fighting squad. It's a great book to watch if you're a fan of Top Gun, because it's kind of like the science fiction version of Top Gun. Random connection, sorry. Alright, and that brings us to our last award, which was the best overall read. And I thought, well, do I need to pick from the 9 I did before, or can I pick something else? And what I did was pick something else that could have fit into a couple of other of these categories. The book that I chose for my best overall read for 2019 was The Toll by Neal Shusterman. So many things to say. First, The Toll is the third in the series, The Arc of the Scythe. We have Scythe, then Thunderhead, then The Toll. And in the first book, if you're not familiar with this series, Citra and Rowan are our two main characters, and they are apprenticing to become scythes. Society has advanced so much that there's no more death due to illness, old age, all of these other things. And so the population is controlled by gleaning, and so you have certain people that are assigned to be scythes, and they have a quota every month or so, I think it is, that they have to glean or kill a certain amount of people, and they use science to back it up. Like, well, probably this many elderly would have died, so that's how many we'll take out, that kind of thing. So the trilogy goes on, and I don't know if I can say anything other than that. I don't want to spoil things. But I can tell you it is my absolute 100% favorite dystopian series that I've ever read. Neal Shusterman's writing is top level on this series, and I cannot wait to meet him. Now, some of you know this because you've seen me talk about it in other videos recently, but I was supposed to get to meet him in December. He was going to be in Salt Lake City, and he had a family emergency come up. I hope everyone's okay. I hope they're doing fine. But the event is going to be rescheduled, and I don't know when that is, and I'm really worried that it's going to be when I am already going to be out of town and other places. But I'm super, super excited to meet him and to hopefully get to ask questions. And I don't know, those events are so hugely attended that it's hard to get to be one of the people chosen to ask a question, but I'm really hoping, because I have lots of questions. But anyway, yes, The Toll by Neal Shusterman is my number 1 read for for the year of 2019. And there were so many books that I just adored this year. There's Something About Sweetie by Sanja Menon. Like I mentioned before, House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron Craig. There's so many good books out there, but these are the ones I picked. So there we go. And if one of you finds this interesting, even if it's just to laugh at my weirdness, great. I will try to link G's original video for her book awards in the space below if you want to take a look at her. She does a way better job with editing and all that fun stuff than I do. So, hey, I forgot to ask you guys a question, so I'm going to stick this in here right before the ending. I am thinking about setting my Goodreads goal this year to 150 books. I kind of think with being in grad school all year long this year, it's just going to make it harder. So can't do probably 200 like I did this year, or in 2019. So I think my 2020 goal is going to be 150 books. What are you guys doing for your goal? And please don't feel like, oh my gosh, she's doing 150. I'm going to look stupid if I say like 10. Everybody's goals are just where you're at. So I'm just interested to know what your goals are. Anyway, have a wonderful and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.